are finishing our morning session with the Kaliningrad story, and Julia Bardun is represents a curator and a research group from Pushkin Museum. So everything is changing about our museum, and it used to be the Modern Art Center, Modern Art Museum, but now we are changing to a new mode and a new status. But together with my colleague, we are going to talk about our recent projects. Two speakers. Yes, Sasha Артамонова is also here. Yes, we will be doing the presentation together, and we will talk about the project. And I'm sorry if we happen to overlap our presentations. And we are conducting the international laboratory, and our colleagues in the Zoom didn't do a presentation yesterday, and probably we will repeat ourselves a little bit. And I would like to to say thank you to everyone who is online today. These are our colleagues from Vilnius, from Kaunas, from Gdańsk, Poland, from Germany, and it's really very interesting to watch our event in Zoom. Unfortunately, we don't have the screen, the big screen, but it will make our technical aspects even even more difficult. But I hope that in the afternoon session we will see all these people who now are only with their black screens and black squares in the Zoom. We broadcast our event in Russian, but I hope that the whole all the material will be uploaded in English next week. Our role today is to talk about what we are doing in Kaliningrad within the frameworks of Urban Cultural Planning Project. And the process is still developing, and probably it's a little bit too early to speak about some outcomes. We will feel the results a bit later, but today we may say that the project facilitated the processes which are surprising in its scale, in their scale, and they're incomparable to what we were doing before. For more than 15 years, we have been working with Kronprinz barracks and with the tower, and local residents came to see the installations and our art projects. But all the time, the project has been facing some difficulties. We have survived two restructurings, and due to some bureaucratic processes, bureaucratic challenges, the project was rather difficult to restore. And so our work was not very consistent. And these pandemic restrictions made our cooperation with the local residents much more difficult. But this communication is the just the first task and the first objective on the project. And we thought about developing some alternative history, and we tried to speculate on what if. And we entered the project not only because of Kronprinz and the interest of Kronprinz, but because there are so many initiatives in our region which are involved or which are incorporated into this project, and we are rather close methodologically, and we thought that it will be interesting and it will be in high demand, not only by us, but by some other artistic and some other interested people. That's what was going on in Kronprinz. And the attic, or just the hall that we love very much, and we have been reconstructing it. And that's the story of our presence there in Kronprinz, and it's a kind of long-lasting story. And we do see that this project made our study more systematic. And within the frames of the project, we have conducted a number of surveys. And these studies were sociological and social in their character, and Anna Limpieva was carried them out. And these were the projects on emotional mapping. And if we had more time, we would ask Anna to talk about these projects. And well, just well, it was really very interesting to see how well which tools we could implement. Apart from social studies, we have conducted a widespread historic research, and we studied the well, layers which are really very kind of unpredictable and surprising to us. And it gave us so much food for thought that we certainly will be studying it for some years to come. And I liked Oleg's commentary that if you invite artists, you you must ensure that the artists also use the same sociological tools in their work. And I think that within our project, within the frames of our project, there is a kind of contradiction. Just the contradiction between different participants, different sides, parties. But when we try to identify the sources of these conflicts, and when we try to carry out some explanatory work, we see our goals a little bit better. Today we are interviewing people on the Marx platform, and we are testing the idea of cooperating with this service, with this portal. And we came up with this idea during the pandemic time, during the lockdown time, because we needed some instruments to make our communication with people more interactive, but at the same time to give them some distant instruments of involvement. And so and we are asking what the place lacks and what events might people might want to see there. It's a kind of complicated process, and there are many reasons for the challenges. But all in all, we hope that this research will give us a more detailed picture of our cooperation with the local residents. Yesterday, some of us took part in the promenade performance, and when I started talking about the cooperation between urban researchers and artists, I mentioned that a big advantage of this project is that within a very short time, we could conduct the research, and we can produce some cultural interventions which actualize the potential of the place, and which encourage the local residents to be involved into rethinking processes, into this new appreciation of the site. Elena Tsvetaeva and Ilya Dementiev have been working on the on the project, on the guidebook, and on the front pages and on the cover of the guidebook. And they are not ready to share their results of their work yet, but probably we will ask them to show something. Yes, I will give the mic to Sasha, who can talk a little bit more about the performance, because she is an active element of this performance, and she knows it from the inside out. And so just in their cooperation result in something really very practically positive. Yes, I probably repeat myself in some parts, repeat something that I spoke about yesterday. This performance came or jumped up from the studies which were conducted by Ilya Dementiev, and he studied the German history of the quarter, of the district. And when we speak about Kronprinz barracks, we mean that it's a huge architectural site, huge architectural monument, which has the historical significance, but it's excluded from the landscape of the city, kind of excluded, because it is located very well. Just it's located immediate. Well, it's very close to the center of the city, but unfortunately, it's only 15-minute walk to the center. But unfortunately, it's not the venue for any activities for the young people, for the elderly people, because infrastructurally it is very poor. And these are the reviews and voices that we heard from the local residents. The sidewalks are really very bad, and the lighting is really very poor, and it is very much littered. But at the same time, the area is very green, and there are lots of shady places with some green places, and people walk with dogs there, and it lives its interesting local life. Yeah, but historically, it is a significant place for Kaliningrad because local residents, those who can recall what was happening in this place, can tell lots of different stories about some prominent people of Kaliningrad, like Sergei Snegov, who is a famous writer, the science fiction writer, and people could recall where he lived and what he did, and they could recall some other, other personalities who were in science, in research, in music and literature, and who made really good contribution to the European cultural history. But thanks to this prominent performance, these people become animated, and you could see these people when you walk around the neighborhood and around the quarter. You can meet these people, and these people tell their stories, and they describe their life, and they tell about what happened to them. And when we had one of these performances, one of the local residents came up to us, and she asked whether it was the performance was about the happiness or about the tragedy, because it has really tragic element, because people who you present here in the performance, they died, but at the same time they made their life around them happier. And I started thinking about it, and I decided that this performance is about light. It's about some kind of enlightenment, and it's about the cooperation, or just the combination of light and darkness, because light is never possible without darkness. And when we think about these histories, these personal histories, when they came from the darkness, it really makes our life enlightened, and it's much we benefit from it. And our idea is to make many local residents understand what was happening in their quarter. We also decided to publish a newspaper, and this newspaper is aimed at those people who don't use social networking sites, and we distribute the newspaper through the libraries and through some local points which are very often visited by residents, by local residents, those people who walk with their dogs and people who walk around. And these people became kind of good carriers of this newspaper. People pick up some newspaper, and people start talking about what's happening in the district. And people return when they read about something. They return. Sometimes those people who walk with dogs ask if they can come with the dog, and of course they are given some positive reply, and they come back a week later with a dog. And so they are they become very much interested. As for the tourists and local residents, we actually didn't carry out any studies of how many people are tourists and how many people are residents. But we may understand that there are quite many local residents who know about the performance, and so the performance becomes successful because it exchanges the energy with the local residents. And while we are walking on this performance, we go around the place, around the neighborhood, and we talk to people who live nearby, and we notice some places which we failed to notice before. And every time, every performance improves the fabric of the local life, of the city life. So far, we have had 13 performances, and we hope that we will have something more in August. Just yesterday, a couple who live locally came up to us, and they said that they would like to participate in the performance, and they will come tomorrow. As for the exhibitions, the temporary exhibitions, we can say that the dialogue with the local population is very important to give them the idea of the place, to make them feel well, get some sense of belonging to the place, and to give them the understanding that you live there not only before you can improve your living conditions, but because you belong to the place. And the exhibition which we are going to demonstrate in different, to bring to some different places in the region, we hope it will give some inspiration to our regional residents and make them aware of what it is like to live in the small cities. And if sometimes they feel lonely living in the small cities, they might understand that there are so many other residents like them, and they must join in their mutual effort. So those people, so that's the root of our exhibition, and it is to those who are not very well familiar with the region. The exhibition opens on Friday in Ozyorsk, and then it moves to Svetlogorsk, and in August it will be in Chernihovsk and Znamensk, and I hope that in early September we will show it in Kaliningrad, and we will be able to, to present our art guidebook. And of course, you have to understand that this exhibition will be shown in different parts of the region, from the eastern part to the coastal regions, and we will try to be in different places. And it's not just an exhibition. There are some public speakers and some public programs, and we hope that in one of the exhibitions we will have the chance to show the video version of Promenade performance, and I think that it will encourage people. I do hope that it will be good. Thank you. Yeah, I hope that, well, I do believe that it will be really very successful, no doubts about that. And I think that it's a very good final presentation to our morning session. And I think that Sasha voiced a kind of a motto of our session, that one of the performances, or one of the goals of our activity is to recall why we live in the city, to understand what the city is about, and to remind ourselves about why we do this cultural planning. Just to demonstrate people from some other branches of our life, from some other areas of our life, to demonstrate them what the region is about. I guess that it's really important not only to have some constructions, some pavements, and some static infrastructure, but very often we overlook the necessity to revitalize some sense, because it's not enough to live in a comfortable city which is convenient, practically convenient, but it's really important to have some feelings towards the cities, and it's important to do what we are doing. Well, we have got 10 minutes for a coffee break and 10 minutes to cooperate, to have a breath of air, and at 1 p.m. we have to be back, because our international partners will join us in the Zoom. So go and grab some coffee and be back.